He who is brave is free. Seneca. What if I told you that saying nothing after a breakup could be more powerful than sending the perfect text, pleading for closure, or even trying to get them back? Most people react with messages, calls, or emotional outbursts, thinking that action equals control. But here's the secret. True strength isn't in what you say, it's in what you don't say. In this video, we're diving deep into why silence after a breakup isn't a sign of weakness, but your strongest weapon. We'll explore how Stoic philosophy teaches you to reclaim your power, protect your peace, and transform emotional pain into unshakable calm. You'll discover why reacting impulsively only gives your ex control, and why stepping back in quiet confidence can shift the balance in ways most people never understand. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to wield silence as a tool, not to punish, but to master yourself, heal faster, and emerge stronger. Stick with me till the very end, because missing even one Stoic principle here means leaving a part of your power on the table. This is your guide to turning heartbreak into a source of inner freedom. Number 1, silence allows you to regain control over your emotions. After a breakup, your mind is often a storm of thoughts, emotions ricocheting off one another, leaving you restless, reactive, and unsteady. Every impulse to reach out, explain, defend, or argue chips away at your inner calm. Silence, though, is not emptiness. Silence is a tool, a way to reclaim the control that the chaos of emotions tries to steal from you. Reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you stop speaking, when you remove yourself from the noise of the moment, you give yourself a chance to observe those emotions without letting them dictate your actions. You stop being a puppet to your heart and start being a master of your inner world. This is where the real strength lies, in choosing your responses instead of reacting. In the heat of a breakup, every word sent impulsively, every message typed and deleted, every post made in a bid for attention or clarity pulls you further from control. Silence gives you the pause, the space to breathe, to feel fully without being swept away. It allows your mind to catch up with your emotions. You start noticing patterns, triggers, and subtle shifts in your own thinking that were invisible when you were caught in constant reaction. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." Silence forces you to change that view. You gain clarity, perspective, and a sense of calm that comes from understanding yourself more deeply than the moment of pain allows. To put this into action, begin with small exercises. Take a day, or even just a few hours, where you refrain from initiating contact or responding immediately. Every time you feel the urge to reach out, pause, breathe deeply. Label the emotion you are feeling: frustration, sadness, longing, or anger. Writing it down privately without intending to send it can amplify the effect. The goal is not suppression, but observation. Watch the emotion as it moves through you without acting on it. Over time, you'll notice a rhythm emerging, a natural settling of the storm inside, as if your mind is finding its own equilibrium. Silence is also a form of power that communicates without words. By stepping back, you are sending a message not through confrontation, but through composure. You are showing that your center is not shaken by external events. You are teaching yourself that your peace is not contingent on anyone else's presence, approval, or behavior. Each day you resist the urge to react, you reinforce a habit of emotional sovereignty. It's subtle, quiet, and profoundly transformative. To make this habitual, try setting deliberate, quiet hours in your day, especially after emotionally triggering moments. No calls, no messages, no scrolling. Focus on your own growth. Read, meditate, journal, or reflect on what you are learning about yourself. Notice the small victories, a moment of irritation passing without a single reactive word, a pang of longing acknowledged but not acted upon. Each of these moments strengthens your ability to regulate your emotional state. Silence after a breakup is more than restraint. It is reclaiming yourself. It is the moment when you step back from the chaos, observe without judgment, and choose your next steps from a place of calm, not reaction. By practicing this, you are not only protecting your mind from unnecessary turbulence, you are cultivating a kind of quiet power that no one can take away. Your inner world becomes your fortress, and from that fortress, you will engage with life again not as a reactive force, but as a deliberate, composed, and unshakable presence. Number 2, it creates space for reflection and self-growth. Silence after a breakup isn't weakness, it's power. When you stop responding, stop chasing, stop filling the void with noise, you create a space that's yours alone. A space where reflection isn't interrupted, where you can actually see yourself, your choices, your patterns, and your emotions without distraction. Said, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. That retreat is exactly what silence allows. When you step back from the chaos of messages, arguments, or attempts to explain yourself, you suddenly realize that the world doesn't revolve around the drama of the breakup. Your world is still whole, and in that stillness, you find clarity. This space isn't empty, it's fertile. It's fertile for growth, for insight, for seeing things you might have ignored when your energy was scattered. You start noticing patterns in your own behavior, recognizing the impulses that led to pain, the attachments that didn't serve you, and the values that you want to prioritize moving forward. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Silence gives you the power to choose your reaction deliberately. It allows you to respond with reason instead of emotion, to rebuild yourself on your own terms, and to align your actions with your principles rather than your fears. Here's the critical part. Silence is a mirror. It reflects your strengths, your weaknesses, your potential, and your true priorities. But reflection alone isn't enough. You must act on what you discover. Start small. Each day, spend 20 minutes in quiet reflection. Journal your thoughts, questions, and feelings. Ask yourself what you truly want, what boundaries you need, and where you've allowed past patterns to dictate your happiness. This is not a passive exercise. It's active construction of your inner life. While others might expect arguments, explanations, or reassurance, your silence is teaching something profound, not to them but to you. It teaches patience, discipline, and self-respect. It forces you to confront yourself without excuses. When you resist the urge to reach out, you resist giving your power away. That space you've created becomes a laboratory for your growth, where you experiment with new habits, test your resilience, and practice detachment from outcomes. This is the essence of Stoicism, focusing on what is within your control and letting go of what is not. You can amplify this practice by setting deliberate boundaries for yourself. Avoid social media that triggers old attachments. Turn off notifications that pull you into reactive behaviors. Schedule intentional time for solitude where you can meditate, breathe, and simply exist without distraction. The point isn't to punish yourself or the other person, it's to reclaim your center. Your growth, your clarity, and your calm are not dependent on anyone else. They are cultivated within you. Eventually, you'll notice subtle but powerful shifts. Thoughts that once overwhelmed you lose their urgency. Emotional reactions become manageable. You start acting from a place of strength rather than neediness. Silence, when used deliberately, transforms from emptiness into a powerful tool for self-mastery. It teaches you to move forward with intention, to recognize your own worth, and to cultivate an inner resilience that no external circumstance can shake. In this quiet, in this space, you are not just healing, you are evolving. Number 3, silence prevents giving power to those who hurt you. Silence is not emptiness, it is power. After a breakup, every word you speak, every reaction you give carries weight, And when you respond impulsively, you hand over that weight to the person who has already caused you pain. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Every time you argue, explain, justify, or seek to reclaim attention, you are handing them control over your emotions. You give them the ability to unsettle you, to manipulate your mood, to dictate your mental energy. Silence, on the other hand, is a declaration. Your inner peace is yours alone. It cannot be bargained for, it cannot be stolen. When you choose silence, you are creating an invisible shield. You're not avoiding the world or ignoring reality. You're simply taking back the power that was once ceded through emotional reaction. Said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Each time you bite your tongue, each time you resist the urge to reply, to argue, to explain, you are practicing this principle. You are exercising self-discipline. You are teaching yourself that your worth is not contingent upon their recognition, their validation, or their understanding. Practically speaking, silence becomes a tool for clarity. It allows you to observe your own thoughts without distortion, to process your emotions without interference, and to act from intention rather than impulse. When the urge to reach out strikes, pause, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, will this response build my peace or give away my power? More often than not, the answer will reveal that silence is the stronger path. Each moment you resist, you strengthen the boundary between your inner world and the outer chaos, proving to yourself that no one can unsettle you without your permission. A practical exercise is to intentionally implement what the Stoics call a state of emotional equanimity. For the next week, whenever you feel compelled to contact or react, replace the action with reflection. Write down the feeling, trace its origin, and release it without judgment. See it for what it is, a signal, not a mandate. This trains your mind to treat provocation as a passing cloud rather than a storm that demands action. Silence also sends a powerful message without a single word. It communicates restraint, dignity, and control. It communicates that you are whole on your own, that your life is not contingent upon approval or reconciliation, that your focus is on your own growth. This is not a game of revenge. It is a conscious choice to reclaim your sovereignty. Each quiet moment becomes an assertion. You will not be baited, you will not be unsettled, and your energy is yours alone to steward. The most transformative aspect is internal. Over time, silence cultivates resilience. It teaches you patience, strengthens your self-awareness, and reinforces your understanding that external circumstances do not dictate your inner state. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By refusing to react, you cut the chain of imagined offenses. You prevent your mind from amplifying hurt, from spinning narratives that grant power to those who have already left. You reclaim the narrative. Silence is not weakness, it is mastery. Each moment of restraint builds a fortress around your peace, a sanctuary that cannot be breached. Start small, say less. Observe more, reflect, breathe. Let your calm, deliberate silence become a practice, a weapon not against them but for yourself. In the stillness, you find freedom. In the quiet, you reclaim power. And when the storm of emotions passes, you emerge not only unshaken but stronger, wiser, and entirely your own. Number 4, it signals strength without aggression or desperation. When you choose silence after a breakup, you're doing far more than withholding words. You're making a statement that resonates deeper than any argument, any text, or any desperate plea ever could. Silence communicates strength because it is grounded, deliberate, and controlled. It doesn't scream, it doesn't beg, it doesn't claw for attention. Seneca reminds us, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. In this case, silence is your steady rudder, your calm determination, and your unwavering focus on your own direction. You are showing that your equilibrium doesn't depend on someone else's responses or their attempts to draw you back in. It signals that you are anchored in yourself, your values, and your self-respect, and that no one can unsettle the stability you've cultivated. Think about it. People often mistake aggression for power and frantic messaging for passion, but true strength never needs to assert itself through noise or urgency. By holding back, by choosing stillness, you are claiming the high ground. You are telling the universe and yourself that your inner life is richer and more complete than the need for validation from someone who is no longer aligned with your path. Wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Your silence is that retreat. It allows you to step out of the reactive cycle, to gain clarity, and to preserve dignity while the other person flails in the turbulence of expectation and uncertainty. This is not passivity, it is strategy. Each moment you resist the urge to respond, you are exercising self-mastery. You are training your mind to detach from impulsive behaviors and external pressures. You are strengthening your character. The practical exercise is deceptively simple. Create a boundary around your attention. For a set period, hours, days, or even weeks, commit to absolute non-engagement. Every time the impulse to reach out, explain, or argue surfaces, pause, take a deep breath. Journal the feeling instead. Reflect on why you feel compelled and how it might dissipate if left alone. The Stoics teach that mastery over desire is the truest form of freedom. By refusing to act out of need or fear, you reclaim that freedom in real time. Silence also invites introspection for both parties. By withdrawing from constant communication, you create a space where clarity can emerge. You demonstrate that your worth is not negotiable, that your time and energy are not cheap currency, and that your focus is on growth rather than drama. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your reaction, or in this case, your deliberate non-reaction, is your signal to the world that you are guided by principle, not emotion. Finally, this silence becomes a protective force. It shields your energy from unnecessary conflict, it preserves your dignity, and it nurtures your own healing. When you stop trying to prove your value through words, you begin to live it through presence. Every day you practice restraint, your confidence grows, your self-awareness deepens, and your power becomes undeniable, not because you chase it, but because you embody it. So take action today. Step back. Resist the urge to fill the quiet with explanations, justifications, or attempts to stir emotion. Let your silence speak, and let it tell the story of a person who is grounded, composed, and unshakable. That stillness is not emptiness, it is strength. And in that strength, you will discover freedom, clarity, and the kind of inner peace that no words could ever convey. Number 5, it shifts focus from external validation to internal mastery. Silence after a breakup isn't just absence, it's a powerful realignment. When you stop seeking constant reassurance, responding to messages, or trying to demonstrate that you're okay, something transformative begins to happen. You shift your energy inward. Instead of looking outward for validation, hoping that someone else's words, attention, or recognition will soothe your pain, you start to anchor yourself in your own principles, your own sense of self-worth, and your own clarity. Reminds us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. Your focus moves from the uncontrollable world of other people's perceptions to the one thing you can fully govern, your own mind. This shift is subtle but profound. When you're constantly chasing approval or trying to explain yourself, you are giving away power. You are letting your sense of self hinge on someone else's responses, and that keeps you tethered to their whims. Silence breaks that tether. It teaches you that your presence, your calm, your measured reactions, and your self-respect are not contingent on external acknowledgement. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Silence is your reaction. It's your statement without words, that you are whole, that you are centered, that you are mastering your inner world even while the external world may be chaotic. Hear how you can practice this in a tangible way. Each time you feel the urge to reach out, pause, breathe, ask yourself, am I seeking reassurance or am I nurturing my own growth? Journal these impulses. Observe them without judgment. Write down the feelings, then release them onto the page. By externalizing your thoughts and emotions through reflection rather than communication, you strengthen internal control. You're telling yourself, and reinforcing through action, that your peace doesn't depend on someone else's engagement. Another practical step is to create a daily ritual of self-assessment. Start your day with a few minutes of stillness. Reflect on your values, your goals, and your personal progress. Affirm your strengths and acknowledge areas for growth. When you ground yourself in these fundamentals, the pull of external validation diminishes naturally. Your sense of achievement, your emotional balance, and even your joy become self-generated rather than borrowed from the attention of another person. The beauty of silence lies not just in restraint, but in what it allows you to cultivate: focus, patience, resilience. It's a return to the Stoic ideal of autonomy, the ability to remain centered and content regardless of what happens outside your control. You're practicing mastery of your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Over time, you start to notice a shift in how you view relationships, interactions, and even yourself. You become less reactive and more deliberate, more confident in your identity, and less dependent on fleeting external signals. To make this real, commit to intentional periods of silence. Start with a day, then stretch to several. During this time, dedicate energy to growth, read, meditate, write, or pursue skills that elevate your mind and body. Each moment of non-reaction is a brick in the foundation of your inner fortitude. With every hour you resist the urge to seek validation, you reinforce your sovereignty over your own mental and emotional landscape. Eventually, you'll realize that silence after a breakup isn't absence, it's presence. Presence within yourself, presence in your own values, presence in your own mastery. It is the ultimate exercise in Stoic self-discipline, and when practiced consistently, it becomes your strongest weapon, not against anyone else, but for the unshakable strength of your own character. So the next time your heart feels the pull to reach out, remember, silence isn't weakness, it's mastery. It's the quiet power that allows you to reclaim your peace, center your mind, and show the world and yourself that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By choosing stillness over reaction, you're not just surviving the breakup, you're growing stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than ever. If you take just one thing from this video, let it be this: your silence is your strength. Harness it, protect it, and watch how it transforms the way you move through heartbreak and life itself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a dose of Stoic wisdom that can turn life's toughest moments into your greatest victories. Share this with someone who needs to reclaim their power too. And remember, your calm is your weapon. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Seneca. What if I told you that the discomfort you're running from, every awkward conversation, every failure, every pang of rejection, is actually your greatest teacher? Most people go through life trying to dodge pain, to shield themselves from any form of struggle. But what if the very thing they fear is the doorway to real strength? Stoics have a radically different approach. They do numb themselves to pain, they embrace it. They lean into it. They understand that pain is not a punishment but a signal, a guide showing us where growth, resilience, and clarity await. Imagine transforming every setback, every moment of frustration, into a tool for inner mastery. In this video, we're going to reveal why Stoics intentionally welcome what most of us flee from. You'll learn how shifting your relationship with pain can unlock a sense of calm and control that others chase their entire lives without ever finding. By the end, you'll not only see pain differently but also discover practical ways to harness it so that it works for you, rather than against you. So stay with me until the very end. You won't just watch. You'll walk away with strategies that can change the way you experience life itself. Number 1, pain is inevitable. Resistance only prolongs suffering. Pain is not optional. It will come to everyone in ways that surprise you, in ways you didn't plan for, in ways that shake the foundations of what you thought was secure. And here's the first truth the Stoics want you to really feel. Resistance doesn't protect you. It doesn't make pain disappear. All it does is make it last longer, deeper, sharper. Reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The moment you stop resisting, the moment you stop pretending it shouldn't be happening, you begin to step into real strength. You start to see that pain itself isn't the enemy. Your refusal to face it is. Think about how much energy you spend trying to avoid discomfort, trying to keep everything easy, smooth, predictable. All that energy, all that mental effort is wasted. The Stoics understood that life doesn't owe you comfort. It doesn't owe you ease. Pain will knock at your door whether you're ready or not. And yet, if you can train your mind to meet it without resistance, you turn an opponent into a teacher. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." Every moment of pain is a mirror. It shows you your strength, your patience, your resilience. You can either stare at it, paralyzed, or engage with it, sharpen yourself against it, and walk away stronger than before. Here's something to try. When discomfort or emotional pain comes, maybe it's frustration, anxiety, loss, or disappointment, pause, take a deep breath. Don't tell yourself, this shouldn't be happening. Instead, say, this is happening, I can face it, I can learn from it. That small mental pivot rewires your relationship with suffering. You are no longer a victim waiting for relief. You are a participant in your own growth. You are choosing how to experience the unavoidable. Resistance makes pain a heavy weight you carry around unnecessarily. Acceptance in the Stoic sense doesn't mean resignation. It doesn't mean you like the pain. It means you meet it with clear eyes and steady hands. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Every moment of discomfort, every challenge you can meet without flinching polishes you. Every trial shapes you. You are the gem and life's friction is the tool. The less you resist, the faster you shine. One practical exercise is simple but powerful. Each morning, visualize one small challenge you might face today, a moment of discomfort, a stress, an unpleasant encounter. Imagine it fully, then practice saying to yourself, "I will meet this without resisting. I will not let it disturb my inner calm." Then, when it comes, remind yourself of this mental rehearsal. The repeated practice rewires your mind to flow with life rather than fight it. The pain doesn't vanish, but your suffering from it becomes optional. You begin to notice a difference, a lightness, even amid difficulty. Here's the final truth. The Stoics didn't run from pain because they knew running doesn't work. Pain is inevitable, your reaction is not. By stopping the fight against the unavoidable, you shorten your suffering and transform it into growth. The moment you embrace the pain instead of resisting it, you start to move through life with a calm confidence. You realize that strength isn't the absence of discomfort, it's mastery over your response to it. So start today. Meet what comes with open eyes. Feel it. Learn from it. And watch as life's friction sculpts you into someone unbreakable. Number 2, pain is a teacher, revealing what truly matters. Pain is not your enemy. In fact, it is one of your most honest teachers, stripping away the distractions, illusions, and trivialities that often fill your mind. The Stoics knew this well, said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every pang, every discomfort, every internal ache carries a message. Pain reveals what truly matters. It shines a spotlight on what you value, what you fear, and what is worth your attention. The problem is, most people run from pain as if by fleeing it they can avoid its lessons. But every time you avoid it, you deny yourself insight, growth, and clarity. Imagine for a moment that pain is like a teacher who doesn't sugarcoat lessons. You can resist, you can argue, you can distract yourself, but the lesson remains. You only see it clearly when you stop running. Stoicism encourages you to lean in, to observe the discomfort, and to ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What does this reveal about what I care about? What is within my power to change? This isn't about masochism or seeking suffering for its own sake. It's about using every challenge, every wound, every difficulty as a mirror that shows you the contours of your own priorities and values. One of the most practical ways to do this is to notice your reactions in moments of pain. When something hurts, whether emotionally, mentally, or even physically, don't immediately push it away. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, what is this pointing to? What am I resisting here? You'll find that pain often highlights attachments, expectations, or desires that are causing unnecessary tension. Epictetus reminded us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Pain, then, becomes a tool to cultivate discernment. You start to distinguish between what is fleeting and what is essential. Here's an exercise to build this habit. Each day, when you encounter a discomfort, something minor yet noticeable, spend a few moments with it. Name it quietly in your mind. Reflect on what it reveals. Is it showing that you value control too much? That you fear judgment? That you cling to outcomes that aren't yours to command? By engaging with these moments intentionally, you train yourself to respond to pain with awareness rather than instinctive avoidance. This strengthens your mind, sharpens your focus, and deepens your understanding of what is truly worth your energy. Pain also teaches resilience. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Every time you sit with discomfort and extract its lesson, you fortify your character. You develop a quiet confidence, a sense that no matter what life throws your way, you can observe it, learn from it, and continue forward. You start to see that life is not about avoiding hardship. It's about using it, channeling it, and letting it refine you. The more you practice this, the less fear you feel toward challenges, and the more freedom you gain to focus on what truly matters, your principles, your choices, and your growth. So lean into the teacher called pain. Don't treat it as an enemy to flee or numb. Engage with it, reflect on its lessons, and allow it to illuminate your path. Every discomfort, every challenge, every moment of struggle is an invitation to understand yourself better, to clarify your values, and to grow stronger in ways that comfort never could. Embrace it, and you'll find that life's sharpest edges become your greatest guides, and what once felt unbearable transforms into a source of wisdom and strength. Number 3, enduring pain strengthens character and resilience. Pain is inevitable. You can run, distract yourself, numb yourself, but it will show up. The difference between those who crumble and those who rise isn't in avoiding it, it's in how they face it. The Stoics understood this better than anyone, said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every painful moment you endure isn't a setback. It's a chance to grow, to harden your resolve, to strengthen your character. When you stop fleeing discomfort and start walking through it, you discover a resilience you didn't know you had. You realize that pain is not punishment, it's training. Enduring pain is like lifting weights for your mind and spirit. Each struggle you meet builds a capacity to handle the next one. The first time it hurts, it feels overwhelming. The second time, slightly less so. The third time, you start noticing that your inner self bends but doesn't break. You start to understand that strength is not measured in comfort, but in persistence through discomfort. Seneca reminds us, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. You are literally sculpting yourself into someone who can meet life on life's terms, without fear, without collapse. Here, where the real shift happens, instead of recoiling from pain, you learn to pause, breathe, and examine it. Ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can I use this moment to become stronger? That simple pause is transformative. It turns instinctive suffering into conscious mastery. It trains you to respond with wisdom instead of reaction, with calm instead of chaos. Over time, you build a reservoir of inner strength that others mistake for natural talent. But it's really the product of countless moments where you chose endurance over avoidance. Let's bring this into practice. Start small. Notice a minor discomfort, a task you don't want to do, a thought that irritates, a personal limitation that frustrates you. Instead of avoiding it, lean in. Let yourself feel the resistance and keep going. Notice the difference between reacting and responding. Each time you embrace a moment of difficulty instead of fleeing, you are layering resilience onto your character. You are teaching yourself that discomfort is not the enemy, it's the catalyst for growth. And the beauty of this mindset is its ripple effect. Once you train yourself to endure and learn from small pains, the larger ones don't strike as fearfully. You start to see life as a series of challenges, each an opportunity to expand your patience, your courage, and your understanding of yourself. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are. Pain reveals your character. It tests it. It tempers it like fire tempers steel." By enduring, you discover who you truly are and, more importantly, who you can become. So today, make a decision. The next time discomfort arises, instead of turning away, step closer. Observe it, feel it, learn from it. Let it strengthen you. Create a small daily practice where you willingly face minor challenges that push your limits, whether mental, emotional, or physical. Over time, this builds a resilience that is quiet, unshakable, and deeply empowering. You will start to notice something remarkable. The world stops dictating your emotional state because you have learned to find strength within yourself. Pain is no longer a threat. It is your teacher, your forge, your ally. And when you embrace it, you don't just survive, you thrive. Number 4, pain exposes attachments and illusions, guiding clarity. Pain has a strange way of cutting through the noise in your life. It's uncomfortable, unsettling, and often unwelcome, but that's precisely why it's so powerful. When everything feels smooth and easy, you can fool yourself into believing that your attachments and desires are solid, that the illusions you've built around yourself are real. The Stoics understood this long before it became trendy to embrace discomfort. Said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Pain, in its raw honesty, exposes the cracks in your armor. It shows you where you've been clinging too tightly to things, people, outcomes, or even ideas that aren't truly under your control. And once you see those cracks, you have a choice. Stay blind, resisting reality, or step into clarity and grow. Here's the thing, most people run from pain because they fear what it will reveal. They don't want to confront that their comfort, their security, or their sense of self is built on fragile foundations. But when you stop running, when you face the discomfort instead of avoiding it, you start to see life as it really is. Pain pulls the veil back. It forces you to ask hard questions. Why am I clinging to this? Why does this matter so much? What am I mistaking for permanence when it's fleeting? These are not pleasant questions at first, but answering them is where your power begins. You start to realize that your attachments, your illusions, your ideas about how life should be, these are the very things that limit you, that keep you reacting instead of acting, that trap you in cycles of frustration and disappointment. Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Pain is a teacher in this process. It shows you what's outside your control and shines a light on the illusions you've been harboring about control. Once you start noticing these patterns, you can begin to untangle yourself from them. You can start taking deliberate action, focusing only on what truly matters and letting go of what doesn't. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You are no longer defined by what hurts. You become defined by how you respond. You can practice this actively. The next time discomfort strikes, whether it's a mental sting, an emotional ache, or even a physical reminder that life isn't perfect, pause. Sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this showing me about my attachments? What illusion am I clinging to that I can let go of? Write down your reflections. Repeat this exercise daily. Over time, you'll notice a remarkable shift. The sting becomes less sharp, the lessons become clearer, and your sense of inner stability grows. Pain stops being something to fear and becomes a compass guiding you toward reality. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Think of it that way. Pain is not the enemy. It is a tool that reveals where you are bound, where you are deceived, where you are holding on too tightly. By facing it, by observing it, and by learning from it, you gain clarity. You begin to untangle yourself from illusions, and that is where true freedom lives. It is uncomfortable, yes, but nothing worth mastering ever comes without challenge. So stop running. When pain appears, see it as an invitation. Examine your attachments, question your illusions, and take the lessons it offers. Every moment you do this, you are building insight, resilience, and a sharper understanding of yourself and the world. You are no longer a prisoner of false beliefs or shallow comforts. You are becoming a Stoic, someone who faces reality with courage, who learns from what hurts, and who walks forward with clarity, calm, and purpose. Number 5, by facing pain, Stoics gain freedom from fear. Pain is unavoidable. Life doesn't ask your permission before it knocks you off balance, and yet most people spend their energy running from it, avoiding it, pretending it doesn't exist. But the Stoics knew something radical. When you face pain head-on, you strip it of its power. You see, fear is the shadow that pain casts. The more you avoid discomfort, the larger and darker that shadow grows until it dictates your thoughts, your choices, even your peace of mind. Said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment. When you face pain instead of fleeing, you take back that power. You learn that fear is only an opinion in your mind, and opinions can be changed. Think about what this really means. Every moment you shrink from difficulty, every time you avoid the sting of discomfort, you reinforce fear. But each time you pause, breathe, and choose to move into the pain, even just a little, you grow stronger. You are training your mind and spirit to stand firm, to meet the sharp edges of life with clarity instead of panic. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are. Pain is a mirror. It reveals where your courage is, where your resilience is, and where you can expand it. By confronting it deliberately, you stop being a passive participant in your life and start being the architect of your inner freedom." Here, how to practice this. Begin small. Don't wait for a life-shattering ordeal. Seek out minor challenges that make you uncomfortable, tasks, thoughts, or moments that you normally push away. When discomfort arises, don't run. Name it, recognize it, feel it fully. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? What strength can I gain? Let your body tense, let your mind notice the urge to flee, and then consciously choose to stay. That pause, that decision to remain present in the face of discomfort, is where fear begins to dissolve. Every time you do this, you expand the borders of your comfort zone and shrink the reach of fear. Facing pain isn't about seeking suffering for the sake of it. It's about seeing reality clearly without illusions and refusing to let fear dictate your life. Seneca said, "A brave man is not he who feels no fear, but he who conquers it." Conquering fear doesn't mean ignoring it. It means looking at it square in the eye and saying, "I will not let you control me." And when you do this consistently, freedom emerges naturally. You discover that life's sharp edges are not weapons against you. They are opportunities for growth, clarity, and self-mastery. Here's another exercise. Pick one moment each day where you notice discomfort, perhaps a challenging thought, a difficult decision, or an uneasy feeling. Instead of avoiding it, spend 5 minutes exploring it intentionally. Reflect on why it triggers fear. Breathe into it. Ask yourself, what can I face here that I've been avoiding? Over time, these small confrontations accumulate. The fear that once held you back starts to shrink. Your responses become deliberate instead of reactive. Your mind becomes a place of calm command rather than chaos. By embracing pain, you reclaim your life from the grip of fear. You start to understand that freedom isn't the absence of hardship, it's mastery over your own mind, an unshakable presence in the face of whatever life throws at you. The Stoics knew this. They didn't escape pain, they walked into it, grew through it, and in doing so, discovered a freedom that no external force could ever take away. And that is the quiet, powerful strength waiting for you if you dare to face what most people run from. Remember, pain is not the enemy, it's the teacher. While the world runs from discomfort, the Stoic doesn't just endure it. They learn, grow, and transform through it. Every challenge, every setback, is a chance to strengthen your mind and reclaim your inner calm. So the next time life throws something unexpected your way, don't flinch. Pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this into my advantage? That's the Stoic way, turning pain into power, frustration into focus, and struggle into mastery. If this perspective shifted the way you think about hardship even slightly, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because there's a lot more Stoic wisdom waiting to help you navigate life with calm, clarity, and courage. And remember, embracing pain isn't weakness. It's the secret path to true strength. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. What if I told you that the people who frustrate you the most, the ones who push your buttons, could actually become your greatest source of power? Imagine transforming every insult, every betrayal, every moment of anger into a quiet strength that no one, not even your adversaries, can touch. It sounds impossible, but this is exactly what Stoics have been practicing for centuries. In a world obsessed with winning arguments, getting the last word, or proving someone wrong, Stoics take a completely different path. They don't fight fire with fire, they extinguish it within themselves. They love their enemies not because they are naive, but because they understand a secret most people overlook. True victory is internal. When you master your mind, no external attack can shake you. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to turn hostility into advantage, envy into clarity, and confrontation into calm confidence. Stick with me till the very end, because these Stoic strategies aren't just theories. They're practical tools you can start using today to rise above conflict, stay unshakable, and win in ways your enemies will never see coming. Number 1, understand that their actions don't define you. One of the most powerful lessons the Stoics teach is this: other people's actions don't define you. Not really, not ever. You might think when someone insults you, betrays you, or tries to undermine you that it reflects on who you are. That's exactly the trap. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Your enemy's words, their attacks, their strategies, none of it has the power to change your essence unless you hand it over willingly. Imagine giving someone else the keys to your mind and your peace just because they chose to act a certain way. That's exactly what resisting or internalizing their behavior does. You let them define your emotions, your self-worth, your clarity. And the Stoics knew this was a trap to avoid. Here's the thing. When someone tries to provoke you, their actions are theirs alone. They emerge from their perceptions, their fears, their ignorance. You are not responsible for their choices, their anger, or their cruelty. And this realization is liberating if you let it sink in. It allows you to step back, take a breath, and see the situation with a new lens. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The suffering doesn't come from what your enemy does. It comes from the story you tell yourself about it. You might imagine humiliation, betrayal, or defeat, and suddenly, you've surrendered your power. But it's all within your control to stop spinning that narrative. So what do? The first step is conscious awareness. The next time someone acts against you, pause. Don't respond on autopilot. Ask yourself, is this defining me? Am I giving them power over my mind? Recognize the space between the action and your reaction. That space, that tiny pause, is your fortress. That's where your freedom lies. Urged. If someone does wrong, it is because they are mistaken, not because you are weak. Realizing that their behavior stems from their flaws, not yours, allows you to rise above. It's not about excusing bad behavior. It's about reclaiming control over your own mind. Here's a practical exercise. Each day, reflect on a situation where someone irritated you, upset you, or tried to manipulate you. Don't dwell on the details. Just note your feelings and trace them back to the source, your reaction, not their action. Then, consciously decide to respond with calm, not emotion. Picture your mind as a sanctuary. You choose who enters and how much influence they have. The Stoics practiced this relentlessly. They didn't let anger, envy, or fear creep into their core because those are vulnerabilities waiting to be exploited. By understanding that others' actions don't define you, you disarm them even if they try to harm you. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop letting others' negativity shape you, you gain real power. You stop reacting, you start acting. You stop being dragged into unnecessary conflict and you preserve your energy, your clarity, your focus. You become untouchable, not because the world bends to you, but because your mind is impenetrable. You maintain dignity, strength, and peace while others waste theirs chasing chaos. And over time, this becomes a habit, a way of life. The enemy loses their grip not by force, but by your indifference to their control. You win because you chose yourself first. So start now. Next time someone tries to push you off balance, remember, their actions are theirs, not yours. Pause, reflect, choose your response deliberately, protect your mind, reclaim your power. As Epictetus would remind you, freedom isn't granted by circumstances, it's claimed from within. When you understand this, when you truly let it sink in, you'll see that loving your enemies doesn't make you weak. It makes you invincible. Number 2, transform anger into compassion and clarity. Anger is a fire. It flares up quickly, blinding you, consuming your energy, and clouding your judgment. The Stoics saw this clearly long before it became a modern. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." You've felt it before, the sharp sting of someone's words, the injustice that cuts deep. It's natural, yes, but what if I told you that every surge of anger is actually an opportunity? A chance to train yourself to see clearly, to act with wisdom instead of reactivity. The moment you feel anger rising, you are standing at a crossroads. You can let it dictate your behavior, or you can redirect it, transforming that raw, impulsive energy into something far more powerful, compassion and clarity. This isn't about pretending someone wronged you didn't, or suppressing your feelings until they fester. It's about taking a step back before you respond. The Stoics practice this constantly. Epictetus reminds us, men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them. That means the power isn't in the person who enjures you, it's in how you interpret it. You control that view. You can see the action as a personal attack, or you can see it as a reflection of their struggles, ignorance, or limitations. When you choose the latter, anger begins to lose its grip. You start to feel compassion, not for the sake of them, but for yourself, because you free your mind from the prison of resentment. Hear how you can practice this today. The next time someone triggers your anger, pause, take a breath, observe the feeling without judgment. Ask yourself, what is really happening here? Is this within my control, or am I giving my power away by reacting? Then, imagine the person as someone struggling with their own invisible battles. You don't need to excuse their actions, but you can soften your response. That softening is where clarity emerges. Suddenly, you're not reacting blindly. You're seeing the situation for what it truly is. You're choosing how to respond rather than being dragged by impulse. Transforming anger into clarity isn't passive. It's strategic. Said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When you respond with calm, you rise above the chaos, protecting your peace and making wiser choices. Anger clouds your judgment. Clarity illuminates the path forward. Compassion allows you to act from strength rather than weakness. You begin to see solutions, not just problems. You notice opportunities where before there were only obstacles. You reclaim the energy that anger would have wasted. To make this transformation a habit, commit to daily reflection. Each night, recall a moment where your anger flared. Write down what triggered it, how you responded, and how you could have redirected that energy into clarity or compassion. Over time, this practice rewires your mind. You start catching anger earlier, neutralizing it before it escalates, and turning what once was a liability into a tool for mastery. And here's the magic of it. When you consistently transform anger into compassion and clarity, you stop giving power to your enemies. They no longer control your emotions because you control yourself. You gain the upper hand without confrontation. You win by mastering your inner world. You move through life lighter, freer, sharper. That's why the Stoics loved their enemies. They understood that hatred chains the soul, while understanding liberates it. By choosing clarity over rage, compassion over resentment, you become untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. Number 3, use adversity as a mirror for self-improvement. Adversity isn't just something to endure, it's a mirror. Every challenge, every confrontation, every person who tests your patience is reflecting something about you, whether you realize it or not. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus reminded us, difficulties are things that show a person what they are. You see, your enemies, your critics, the obstacles that feel unbearable, they aren't just external annoyances. They are opportunities, invitations even to examine yourself, sharpen your character, and grow stronger in ways that comfort never could. If you allow yourself to look honestly into that mirror, you'll see patterns you might otherwise ignore. You'll notice where your reactions are automatic, where your pride gets in the way, where your patience falters. And that awareness, that self-knowledge, is the foundation of true power. When someone opposes you, it's tempting to respond with anger, resentment, or defensiveness. That's natural, but the Stoics urge you to pause and shift perspective. Instead of seeing your adversary as a villain, start seeing them as a teacher. Ask yourself, what is this situation revealing about me? What habits, impulses, or blind spots are being tested? It's not always comfortable, it's not always easy, but it's honest. And honesty with yourself is where mastery begins. Said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle, every conflict is material for your improvement. The resistance itself is a tool. The friction isn't punishment, it's instruction. Hear how you can practice this in daily life. The next time someone provokes you, instead of reacting instantly, stop. Breathe. Observe your rising emotions without judgment. Identify what exactly is being triggered inside you. Is it pride, fear, insecurity? Then ask yourself, How can I use this moment to refine my response, to practice patience, courage, or clarity? Train yourself to turn every spark of irritation into a chance to practice virtue. Over time, this transforms not only how you deal with adversity, but who you become in the process. You start to notice that your power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. The beauty of using adversity as a mirror is that it removes the illusion of external blame. You begin to see life as a series of opportunities for reflection and growth. Your enemies, the situations that once seemed intolerable, are simply catalysts. They push you to confront your weaknesses and strengthen your strengths. Seneca captured this perfectly when he said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Every friction point, every conflict, every challenge is polishing you if you let it. So take action today. The next time you feel provoked, confronted, or challenged, don't rush to fight or defend. Pause, look in the mirror, ask yourself what this moment is showing you. Write down your reactions, analyze your impulses, and set small, concrete goals to improve them. Practice gratitude for the discomfort because without it, your growth would stall. The Stoics teach us that victory isn't always about defeating others, it's about conquering yourself. Every time you use adversity to reflect, refine, and rise above, you are winning, not over them, but over the parts of you that need to evolve. Embrace your challenges, love your enemies in the sense that they teach you, and watch how every difficult encounter becomes a stepping stone to mastery. It's not easy and it's not supposed to be, but it is powerful, transformative, and ultimately the truest form of victory. Number 4, detach from the need for external validation. The moment you realize how much of your peace depends on what others think, you begin to see the chains around your mind. Stoics understood this long before social media made validation a constant craving. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." That craving isn't for money, power, or even success. It's for approval. You want someone to nod, to praise, to affirm that you are right, that you matter, that your choices are justified. But here's the hard truth. When you tie your self-worth to outside opinions, you give away your power. Every compliment becomes a drug, every criticism a dagger, and suddenly your calm is hostage to the whims of others. You start reacting instead of acting. You start chasing instead of leading. And that's exactly what Stoics refuse to do. Detaching from external validation doesn't mean you stop caring about being good or competent. It means you stop letting the world dictate whether you feel valuable. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Think about that. The people who matter most in your life aren't the ones whose opinions control your inner state. Your real task is mastering yourself, not mastering how others perceive you. When you stop chasing approval, every action you take gains freedom. You act because it aligns with your principles, not because it will earn applause. You speak the truth because it is true, not because someone else will smile and nod. That shift alone changes everything. It's like turning a locked cage into an open field. Here, how you start practicing this. First, notice when you are seeking validation. It could be a thought, a message you're waiting for, or even a fleeting desire to be admired. Don't judge yourself, just observe. Awareness is the first step. Then pause and ask, am I doing this to prove something to them, or am I doing this because it aligns with my values? That pause, that moment of reflection, rewires your response. Over time, it creates a habit of checking in with your own standards first, letting others' opinions follow second, or not at all. Another practical exercise is to intentionally embrace small doses of disapproval. Say something honest, make a choice that aligns with your principles, and let go of the outcome. Don't look for approval. Let it land where it may. You'll notice a strange sensation at first, a kind of naked vulnerability, but with it comes clarity and an inner strength that no compliment could ever provide. The Stoics loved their enemies in part because of this. When you no longer need anyone's validation, no one can destabilize you. You can face criticism, mockery, or disdain with equanimity because it no longer touches the core of who you are. This isn't about arrogance or isolation. It's about sovereignty over your own mind. The more you detach from needing approval, the freer you become to act according to reason, courage, and virtue. Said, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will gladly change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed. Notice how he distinguishes between truth and opinion. Opinions are everywhere, truth is steady. Your focus must be on the former truth and your inner alignment with it. That's how Stoics win even when surrounded by enemies. They don't fight for approval, they live for integrity. So start now. Begin by noticing your cravings for praise. Question them. Step into moments of disapproval with calm intention. Align your actions with your principles first. The applause you once sought will no longer dictate your mood, and a profound sense of autonomy will rise in its place. You'll find that the world is no longer a source of anxiety but a stage where you act freely, unchained, unbothered, and always victorious in the only arena that truly matters, your own mind. Number 5, gain strength by controlling your own responses. The moment you realize that your power doesn't lie in controlling others, but in controlling yourself, you unlock a kind of strength that no enemy, no insult, and no circumstance can take from you. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that for a second. Your reactions are yours alone. No one can force you to feel anger, resentment, or fear. These emotions only gain power if you hand it to them. When you take ownership of your response, you step into a space where you are unshakable, where external attacks lose their sting, and where you begin to win not by fighting others, but by mastering yourself. This is the essence of why Stoics love their enemies. They know that the true battle isn't against another person, it's against the chaos inside their own minds. When someone provokes you, you have a choice. Snap back impulsively, let them rile you, or pause, breathe, and decide how you want to act. That pause is your training ground. Every time you resist the urge to react poorly, every time you respond deliberately instead of emotionally, you're building muscles of discipline, patience, and inner resilience. You are literally gaining strength through restraint. You can practice this. Start small. Pay attention to the tiny irritations in your day, the ones that normally make your heart rate spike or your jaw tight. Instead of letting them pull you into frustration, stop. Ask yourself, is this within my control? 9 times out of 10, it is. The traffic, the comment, the unexpected obstacle, these aren't yours to control. What is yours is your mind. What is yours is your decision to stay calm, to keep your focus, and to act with intention rather than reaction. This simple shift rewires your thinking, and over time it transforms your approach to every confrontation, every challenge, every perceived enemy. Seneca put it beautifully when he said, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." Strength grows in moments of difficulty. When you control your response, you are no longer tossed around by other people's negativity. You are like a tree rooted firmly, swaying only when you choose to, bending but never breaking. This isn't passivity. This is strategic mastery. This is winning without playing the opponent's game. Here's a practical exercise. Pick one situation a day where someone or something would normally provoke you. Instead of reacting immediately, take 3 breaths. Feel the space between stimulus and response. Name the emotion quietly in your mind, anger, frustration, irritation, and then choose your action deliberately. Don't act out of habit, act out of choice. Reflect at the end of the day on how that choice changed the energy in your body, your mind, and the situation itself. Small moments like these compound. They are the secret to turning adversity into armor, confrontation into calm, and enemies into teachers. Remember, controlling your responses is not about suppressing your emotions, it's about mastering them. It's about being the author of your own experience instead of a character in someone else's drama. Every time you exercise this control, you gain more freedom, more clarity, and more influence over your own life. You begin to see that winning isn't about defeating someone else. It's about never being defeated internally. And when your inner fortress is strong, the outer world, no matter how hostile, cannot breach it. That's why the Stoics loved their enemies. They knew that real power isn't taking from others. Real power is never giving them the power to shake you. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, remember this. Loving your enemies isn't weakness, it's mastery. While they're caught in the chaos of anger and resentment, you're walking the calm path of reason, untouchable, unshaken. Stoicism teaches us that true power isn't in defeating others, it's in mastering yourself. What if I told you that every conflict, every insult, every betrayal is actually an opportunity to strengthen your mind and refine your character? That's exactly what the Stoics knew, and now you do too. If you take even one of these lessons and apply it today, you'll start noticing a subtle but unstoppable shift. People can try to control you, provoke you, or even hurt you, but your inner fortress remains secure. And that's winning on a level no one else can reach. So here's the challenge. The next time someone acts against you, pause, breathe, and respond with the calm, deliberate wisdom of a Stoic. You'll not just survive, it'll make you thrive. If this video gave you even a glimpse of that power, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because the journey to Stoic mastery has only just begun. He who is brave is free. Seneca. What if I told you that the reason most people constantly beg, negotiate, or plead for what they want isn't because they lack talent or effort, but because they've never understood a simple Stoic truth? Imagine walking into any situation, work, relationships, or even a social circle, and having people naturally respect you, value your presence, and give you more without you ever asking. Sounds impossible. It's not. Stoics mastered a mindset that made them magnetic, commanding, and unshakable, and it starts with one radical principle. They never lower themselves to beg. They know that true influence comes not from desperation, but from composure, strategy, and unwavering self-worth. And the fascinating part, once you grasp this, doors start opening, opportunities fall into your lap, and people start giving freely, not because they have to, but because they want to. In this video, we're breaking down the core Stoic secrets that turn you from overlooked and ignored into someone who always gets more, without begging, whining, or compromising your dignity. Watch till the very end, because every principle we cover compounds on the previous one, giving you the ultimate formula to command respect, attract opportunities, and live life on your terms. Number 1, Stoics focus on self-sufficiency, not external validation. You need to understand this. Your worth isn't measured by likes, approvals, or the attention others give you. The Stoics grasped this long ago, said, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. If you're constantly seeking validation from outside, you're setting yourself up to be a slave to other people's opinions. You're giving away your power before you even realize it. You have to start building a fortress within yourself, a quiet, unshakable self-sufficiency that doesn't waver when the world shifts around you. Imagine feeling complete, calm, and in control, no matter what someone says, does, or doesn't do. That's the Stoic way, and it's available to you right now if you decide to claim it. Self-sufficiency isn't about shutting people out or pretending you don't care. It's about mastering your mind so that external things don't dictate your happiness or self-respect. Epictetus reminds us, It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You can't control the opinions, judgments, or actions of others, but you can control your reactions, your energy, and your mindset. That is your domain. That is where true power lives. Start noticing the moments when you seek someone's approval. Catch yourself before you text that message, say that extra word, or adjust your behavior to gain acceptance. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it serves me, or because I want someone else to nod in approval? This awareness is the first step to reclaiming your independence. Now, let's talk about daily practice. Begin each day with a small ritual that reinforces your self-sufficiency. Spend 5 minutes in quiet reflection. Remind yourself that your value is inherent, not granted. Write down one thing you did yesterday that relied solely on your own effort and integrity. Keep this list growing. Observe how your confidence changes when you start depending less on applause and more on your own judgment. Notice the peace that comes from acting in alignment with your principles, rather than performing for someone else's approval. Another practice is controlling your desire for external rewards. This can be as simple as completing a task without seeking recognition, offering help without expecting gratitude, or pursuing a goal for the satisfaction of mastery, not the praise it might bring. You will discover that when you stop begging, whether verbally, emotionally, or even silently in your mind, you gain a rare kind of respect. People sense the difference. They feel your independence, your groundedness, your unshakable composure. That quiet self-sufficiency speaks louder than any request or plea ever could. And here's the critical point. When you depend less on others, you gain more than you could ever imagine. You attract genuine respect and authentic relationships naturally. You become magnetic not because you're seeking attention, but because you're radiating calm, deliberate strength. You're a person who stands on their own and yet contributes value freely. People don't respect desperation, they respect composure. They don't admire dependence, they admire mastery. So start today. Observe your impulses to seek validation. Counter them by taking small actions that reinforce your self-sufficiency. Practice thinking, I am enough, I am complete, I do not beg. Repeat it until it becomes a quiet truth in your bones. Let your peace and your principles lead the way. The more you cultivate this inner independence, the less the world can unsettle you. And paradoxically, the more others will want to be around you, because nothing commands respect quite like a person who doesn't need it. Number 2, desire is controlled, reducing dependency on others. You want to understand why Stoics never beg and somehow always end up with more. It starts with mastering desire. Desire is the silent pull that can make you dependent on others for your happiness, your validation, and even your sense of self-worth. When you let it run unchecked, you're constantly chasing, always reaching, and forever exposed to disappointment. The Stoics recognized this early on. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life." It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Think about that. When you stop allowing desire to dictate your actions, when you stop putting your emotional life in someone else's hands, you reclaim your freedom. You are no longer a servant to want. Instead, you become the master of your own peace. Start by noticing your cravings, the small and large ones alike. Every time you feel the pull to seek approval, affection, or recognition from someone else, pause. Ask yourself, does this truly serve me, or am I surrendering my power? Desire in itself is not wrong, but when it controls you, when it drives you to beg for attention or reassurance, it becomes a leash. Reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The strength he speaks of comes from recognizing that everything outside you, another person's opinion, their approval, their actions, is beyond your control. When you anchor your happiness inside yourself, when you cultivate self-reliance, suddenly the world's judgments lose their sting. This is more than just thought, it's habit. Practice reducing dependency step by step. Start with small actions. Decide today to go without immediate validation for something you do. Perhaps you create, speak, or act without seeking affirmation. Notice how freeing it feels when you don't need someone else to validate your choices. Extend this to larger areas, your ambitions, your goals, your relationships. Observe where your desire leads you into neediness and deliberately pull back. Over time, this rewires your instincts. You stop chasing, you start choosing. You stop pleading, you start attracting. The Stoics didn't simply teach restraint, they taught deliberate engagement. Desire is not a void to be ignored, it's a tool to be understood and directed. Reflect on what you truly need versus what you habitually crave. Ask yourself, do I need this to live well, or do I simply want it to feel good? The distinction is subtle but crucial. When your wants are deliberate, conscious, and filtered through reason, you no longer give others power over your emotional state. Your presence becomes rare and valued because it is independent, composed, and self-contained. People sense it, even if they can't articulate it. They feel that you are not easily swayed or bought by their attention, and paradoxically, that makes you more compelling. Here's a practical exercise. Each day, write down one desire you notice driving your behavior. Examine it. Ask yourself whether it's necessary or whether it's a reflex, a habit, a craving. Then practice letting it go for a set period, an hour, a day, even a week. Observe the emotional shift. Notice how your sense of self expands when it isn't tethered to approval or acquisition. Over time, this builds a quiet, unshakable strength. You can also internalize this principle during moments of discomfort. When you feel the urge to plead, to seek permission, to demand acknowledgement, pause and breathe. Remind yourself, I am complete in myself. I do not beg because my happiness is not contingent on another's hand. Desire is a tool, not a chain. Control it and you step into a power most people never touch, the power of independence. That is the core of why Stoics never beg. By mastering desire, you cultivate self-sufficiency, reduce dependency on others, and naturally attract more respect, more opportunity, and more meaningful connections. The world always rewards calm, deliberate, self-reliant strength, and it's yours for the taking, the moment you choose to wield it. Number 3, they cultivate inner strength through discipline. If you want to truly understand why Stoics never beg and always seem to receive more, it starts with one thing: inner strength. And make no mistake, this strength isn't something that magically appears. It's forged through discipline, through consistent, deliberate effort. Seneca reminded us that no man is free who is not master of himself. That means your power, your influence, your ability to attract what you want in life. It all begins with mastering your own mind, your impulses, your desires. You have to train yourself to respond rather than react, to act with intention rather than desperation. Every time you choose patience over impulse, every time you restrain the urge to seek approval or force outcomes, you are building an invisible reservoir of strength that no one can take from you. This is your armor. Think about it for a moment. If you give in to every whim, if you constantly chase after validation or demand what you think you deserve, you are, in essence, giving away your power. But when you cultivate discipline, when you practice self-control, when you decide what is worth your energy and what isn't, you become untouchable. You stop begging for attention, for respect, for love. You create a calm, unshakable presence because you know your worth does not hinge on the approval of others. Wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Your inner world, your discipline, becomes your kingdom. Discipline doesn't have to be grand or overwhelming. It starts with small, consistent actions. Train your mind to pause before reacting. Observe your desires and ask yourself if they serve your higher purpose or simply feed a fleeting craving. Begin with daily practices. Set aside a few minutes each morning to reflect on your intentions for the day. Ask yourself, How will I act with integrity? How will I stay calm when provoked? How will I focus my energy on what truly matters? These seemingly small acts, repeated consistently, create habits that fortify your mind and character. You can take it further by embracing challenges that push you out of comfort. Deliberately resist minor temptations, whether it's skipping a convenience that you don't need, taking cold showers, or committing to tasks that require persistence even when motivation wanes. Each act of self-discipline is a brick in the foundation of your inner strength. The Stoics called this practice of enduring hardship with grace and using it to grow, training the soul. Every time you confront difficulty without whining, without pleading, without begging, you are proving to yourself that your peace and power are self-sourced, unshakable by external circumstances. And here's the critical point. Inner strength cultivated through discipline is contagious. People naturally sense it. When you walk through the world with composure, clarity, and self-mastery, you radiate confidence that others cannot manufacture. You stop needing to demand respect. It is given because your presence signals stability, reliability, and quiet power. You become someone who others naturally want to align with, not because you begged or bargained, but because your energy commands it. So start today. Take control of your mind. Set boundaries that protect your focus. Choose your responses rather than reacting on impulse. Build habits that strengthen your willpower and fortify your calm. Practice patience, reflection, and resilience. Slowly, deliberately, you will notice a shift, not only in how others treat you, but in how you feel about yourself. Begging disappears because you no longer need to seek validation. You have everything you need within. Your discipline becomes your magnet, and your inner strength ensures that you always receive more, effortlessly, naturally, and with quiet dignity. Number 4, patience ensures rewards come without pleading. Patience isn't just a virtue, it's a superpower that transforms the way life responds to you. When you rush, when you beg, when you insist that the world bend to your timeline, you give away your power. You put yourself in a position of need, of desperation, and people instinctively sense it. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca reminded us, no man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom, like reward, takes time, observation, and restraint. When you learn to wait, not idly, but with awareness and purpose, you position yourself in a way where the universe or life, or simply the natural order of things, responds on your terms, not theirs. You don't need to plead, to push, to demand. You simply prepare, act deliberately, and then step back. That's where real power lies. Think about it this way. Patience is not passive. It is the calm, unshakable confidence that what is meant for you will come without forcing it. You can't control outcomes, but you can control how you respond while waiting. You can continue to build yourself, refine your skills, expand your mind, and strengthen your character. Every action you take in this quiet interval amplifies your presence, your value, your readiness to receive. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Be deliberate in your preparation. Then release the need to control. Let the results arrive in their own time." Practicing patience requires a daily mental workout. Start by observing moments of discomfort, waiting in a line, dealing with delays, facing uncertainty, and resist the urge to complain or manipulate. Instead, take a breath, center yourself, and focus on what you can do right now. Even small moments of deliberate patience teach your mind that power does not require pleading. Over time, these micro-practices reshape your interactions. People begin to notice a quiet authority in you, a sense that you are not desperate, not grasping, not easily swayed. That perception alone draws people toward you and increases the likelihood that opportunities arrive unasked, almost naturally. You can also create a simple exercise to strengthen this muscle. Each day, identify one area where you typically rush or demand attention. Pause, wait, observe, reflect. Resist the urge to force outcomes. Document your feelings and reactions. Notice the difference in how people respond when you no longer cling or push. The practice seems small, but it compounds, and soon you'll feel a steady, unshakable presence that commands respect without a word. Patience also trains your mind to distinguish between what is urgent and what is important. When you stop pleading, you start recognizing what truly deserves your energy. This clarity is a form of freedom. It allows you to act decisively when the right moment arrives and remain unaffected when the wrong moment passes. Said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Waiting patiently ensures that when action is necessary, it is precise, intentional, and powerful. You won't waste effort chasing fleeting gains or begging for what isn't aligned with your purpose. Ultimately, patience reshapes your entire relationship with reward. You begin to understand that asking constantly signals lack, while waiting with integrity signals strength. The world tends to respond more generously to those who act with calm confidence than to those who demand or plead. So start today. Commit to pausing before pressing, breathing before reacting, and preparing before seeking. Watch as your interactions shift, as doors open without effort, as respect and opportunity flow toward you. When you cultivate patience, you don't just get more, you get what truly matters on your terms. Number 5, emotional detachment prevents manipulation and neediness. You've got to understand this. Emotional detachment isn't about becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about reclaiming your power. When you tie your self-worth to someone else's approval, or when you allow your happiness to hinge on their reactions, you're giving away control of your life. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that. Most of the anxiety, desperation, and neediness you feel is not caused by what actually happens. It's caused by how tightly you cling to outcomes, by how much you insist the world bend to your desires. Emotional detachment lets you breathe through that pressure. It lets you observe without being consumed. It lets you act without trembling, and it ensures that you never have to beg, manipulate, or compromise your integrity to get what you want. Being detached doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care intelligently. You stop reacting to every slight, every critique, every delay as if your life depends on it. Instead, you pause. You assess. You respond with clarity and purpose, not panic and craving. This is where real power lives. When people sense that your satisfaction isn't dependent on them, they start to value your presence more. When you stop clinging, when you stop begging silently through your words, your tone, your energy, you become unshakable. That calm certainty, this quiet self-possession, is magnetic. People are drawn to it. They respect it. They want to be part of your life, not because you demand it, but because your energy signals that your world is already full and meaningful, and theirs could be better for being in it. Start practicing this immediately. Begin by observing your emotional triggers. Notice when a thought arises that makes you anxious, needy, or desperate. Don't judge yourself, just notice. Then take a step back and ask yourself, is this within my control? Will clinging to this outcome change it? Chances are, most of your anxious energy is wasted on things you cannot fully dictate. When you detach, you conserve that energy and redirect it into actions that actually move you forward. It's empowering because it transforms reaction into choice. Another practical exercise is to embrace deliberate pauses before you respond, whether in conversation or conflict. When someone provokes you or seeks to test your limits, resist the urge to react instantly. Instead, breathe, center yourself, and respond calmly. This simple act creates distance between impulse and action. You're no longer a puppet of emotion, you're the one pulling the strings. Over time, this builds a reputation. People learn that you cannot be manipulated, that you do not bend to pressure, and that your time and energy are not cheap commodities. The beauty of detachment is also in how it frees your mind. When you're not constantly attached to approval, validation, or the need to be liked, your focus sharpens. You can see the world more clearly, make decisions with less distortion, and pursue goals without distraction. Put it perfectly, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. You hold the key. You have the power to separate the stimulus from the emotional storm. You have the power to walk through life with calm authority. And when you do, people naturally want to be part of that world. Make detachment a daily practice. Start each morning by reminding yourself that your value doesn't come from anyone else. Journal your emotional reactions, meditate on what you can control, and consciously let go of what you cannot. Over time, neediness will fall away, manipulation attempts will fail, and you'll begin to operate from a space of quiet strength. This is why Stoics never beg. They don't need to. They operate from inner abundance. And when you do the same, you'll notice something remarkable. You get more. Not because you chase it, but because your presence alone is enough to attract respect, loyalty, and genuine connection. And there you have it, the quiet power of Stoicism, the art of asking less, commanding more respect, and living on your own terms. Remember, begging for attention, validation, or favors never makes you stronger. It only gives your power away. By embracing the Stoic mindset, you not only gain more, but you also become someone others naturally want to follow and support. So next time life tries to push you into desperation, pause, breathe, and act with the calm, unshakable confidence of a Stoic. If you apply just one of these principles today, you'll start seeing the difference immediately. If this video changed the way you see influence, respect, and power, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more life-changing insights, and share it with someone who needs a Stoic boost in their life. Stay calm, stay strong, and remember, never beg, always elevate.